We got some more breaking news on Harley Davidson. You need to stay tuned on this because we got issues going on with the board members now too, and a whole lot of information coming out about what's been going on up there at the board meetings. So stay tuned and see what really is going on at corporate Harley Davidson.
Do 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 do.
So we're going to start off today with, we got a bunch of information came in this morning on I'm not going to probably butcher this poor guy's name, but we'll put his name down here so you can actually see it. But it's Jared
Dwartyville.
It's Dourdeville. So Jared is one of the board members who represents Harley's second largest shareholder, which is the H Partners. Said in the letter that the company had experienced cultural depletion due to Department of Senior Leaders and its remote working policies. You know, that might be some of that DEI and some of that woke going on. Who knows what's going on? But here's a little bit more. We kind of suspected this all along, that he had also called for the resignation of our CEO that we approached on yesterday. I think we're pronouncing his name wrong, but
I think it starts with a Y.
Well, it's J. It's Jochen.
Jochen.
Yeah. So we're not quite sure if we're pronouncing it right, but everybody knows who we're talking about. And two other directors that shows in a letter that we're going to be talking about. And a response from Harley said on Thursday that Jared voted against the board on a decision to not extend an offer to prefer the CEO candidate that he resigned before scheduled meeting. Harley has struggled to gain traction with younger riders as a key customer base of the baby boomers are aging. To offset some of the profitability strain, the company has updated its 2025 lineup to include higher margin touring bikes and sharpen focus on customer vehicle operations, which is a CVO, targeted at its most affluent customers. So what did this Jared say? According to the letter, Jared says he previously sent a similar one to Harley's board calling for immediate resignation of the chairman, CEO that we have right now, Zeitz, lead independent director Tom Linebarger, which I'll put his name down here because I probably butchered his name, and long-term board member Sarah Levinson, not sure, I'll put that down here too. Apparently he did not receive the response he was looking for, so he penned his second letter with his resignation. Jared did say positive things about Harley Davidson as a company, but he was far less enthusiastic about the board and the role in Harley's current situation. Jared inserted a slide showing just how poorly Harley Davidson had performed under the leadership of the current CEO and the board member, Tom. The numbers speak volumes. The slide shows that during the tenure of the two-sided board members, the S&P and the Harley's peers were significantly up and Harley was significantly down. Jared was most concerned about the company first. These concerns have increased. Ultimately, these problems began at the top with our chairman/CEO and our presiding director, who are responsible for overseeing the company's operations and for ensuring the board's oversight and accountability and respectively. In addition, our longest tenure director has been on board for nearly 30 years and has overlapped with our current CEO that's been there for over 17 years. Now, he wasn't CEO that whole time. He was with the company before, bringing into question her ability to provide the effective independent oversight. And that's what this Jared had wrote in his comment. Jared went on to say that the motor company has had a revolving door of senior leadership, which has had an effect on depleting the company's culture. Specifically, he cited that the department of Harley's chief financial officer, chief commercial officer, chief electrical vehicle officer, creative director, and senior vice president of apparel and licensing. I'm assuming they got rid of all those people, and that's part of the problem that we have. As of that wasn't enough, he pointed out that the turnover and the role changing at the operations and manufacturer leadership level has been crazy and
chaotic.
You couldn't even put words to all this. He also goes on and says, at its highest levels, Harley Davidson lacks a winning culture. This is particularly unfortunate for the company's hardworking employees with a passionate to drive them to be the very best of Harley employees and have the corporation be, the company itself, be living up to the name of Harley Davidson. The outcome of the CEO that we have, the hardwire strategy of worrying, touring, and cruising sales have declined over 20% since 2019. And the dealership network is flooded with excessive inventory. When the CEO stepped in, dealers held about 99 days of inventory on the average, a level that Jonkin, whatever intended to reduce. However, the opposite has happened. Dealership network averages more than 140 days of inventory during the 2024 year. This is negatively impacting the desirability that in 2024, a lot of the dealers are being forced to lower the prices on those to get rid of them. Another one of the key points concentrated on this is the crisis in our dealer network. And a lot of you all know about this. You know, we've lost a lot of mom and pop dealerships. A lot of corporations are coming in. He pointed out the dealership closures and how the dealer profitability had been crushed by higher inventory levels and carrying costs, which padded Harley Davidson's profits, adding to the dealer frustration. That's a starting indictment of the motor company from the highest levels of Harley Davidson's most senior management team. So Jared wrote on. He's talking now for his, being that they're the second largest stockholders of the company. We reserve our rights to take any action we deem necessary to continue to represent the best interest of all shareholders. We fully intend to remain significant shareholders and to hold the board accountable for its actions. Harley Davidson is a great company with a need for strong renewal leadership, and I am extremely disappointed that this outcome, after offering to work constructively with the board to address my deep concerns as a director. The decision to tender my resignation in this manner is not one that I take lightly, and I never thought there would be a point when I felt I had no other choice than to remove myself from the board. Jared's parting words expressed his deepest respect for the Harley Davidson organization and community as a whole. He also remained optimistic that a brighter future for Harley Davidson is achievable, one that benefits all the employees, the shareholders, the dealers, and the riders alike. The fallout is Jared's concerns, if accurate and true, would seem to indicate that there's some instability in the Harley Davidson Corporation in the board. So with that, what do you think? You know, a lot of people on this last one we had were saying that the CEO was stepping down. Now it looks like maybe he's being more pushed out. Either resign or we're going to adios out the door. So being that, a lot of people said they called for a lot of the board members should be removed too. The bad news about this is stockholders, the people that own the majority of the stocks, take control of this. What we need to do is Harley owners, or even if you're not a Harley owner and you're just interested in what's going on, we should all start buying shares of Harley Davidson. You know, buy it while it's still low here. Go in and do a massive buyout. Even if buying one share at $22 or $23, whatever it is today, will build up. What that can do is we can get one key person to take all of our votes and make decisions being made on the corporate level of Harley Davidson. This is kind of talking over, you know, a lot of companies have done this where the workers have taken over the workplace. They've taken over the company by taking more control of it. When I used to work for a union, that's what we did with our voters, was all the people that worked at this company, we all had stock in the company in our retirement plan. They would sign it off to the union to when we went and talked negotiations with the company, we had more power because we actually had stockholders behind us.
Had the leverage.
And that's what it's all about. If we want to change things, we've got to do stuff and something to step up and do this. Definitely Harley Davidson is in a critical downfall at this moment. We don't know who they're going to put in as a new person, but I mean, the second largest stockholder seems like this guy, Jared, seems like he might have been a decent guy and seemed like he didn't like what was going on. I don't know. Somebody else said maybe he was part of the DEI. I don't know. Don't know what's going on, don't know what's happening at the corporate level. All we can do is give you that information that we're getting from news agencies to pass on to you. So that way you kind of know the whole story that's going on here with corporate Harley Davidson. So a lot's going to change. Probably not going to see a lot going on at your local dealerships. But things are probably going to be changing later on in this year. You're going to see somebody new probably going to be appointed. There could be some more things happen with the board members. You know, are they going to remove the director and the lady that's been around for 30 years? You know, maybe her old ways just aren't going the way the company needs to go anymore. You know, times have changed. Some of you have talked about some of the other companies out here. You know, somebody else was trying to tell me that, you know, when some of my numbers weren't factual. When I was talking, most of my stuff I'm getting off the internet, so I'm relying on different sources that I'm getting things from. But they actually was trying to say that Polaris had more of the industry. Well, actually, when I looked it up, they had about Polaris altogether in the motorcycle industry had about 130,000 units sold last year, where Harley Davidson had a little over 300,000 units sold last year. Worldwide, we're talking on both occasions. So Harley was more dominant in the past. This was last year's numbers. I think it was 2023 numbers. Is what I got them, because a lot of things just don't update quick enough to find out. But we try to give you the best accurate information that I can find. And what happens here is I'm signed up with a lot of different feed from different organizations that feed me a lot of Harley Davidson information, stuff that's going on in the company, things like that. We also have output from some of the dealerships and stuff. We haven't reached out to any dealership at this time because typically we don't want to get any of them in trouble for giving us any kind of information, but I'm betting money they probably don't know a lot of what's going on. We had one of our subscribers the other day said he knew about 2 weeks ago that the CEO was going to be stepping down. So a lot of this has probably been going in the works here for the last couple of months. So we'll have to see how this happens as we get into 2025 here. So hopefully you appreciate the information we give you guys today. Sorry that we butchered a few people's names. And a lot of times I always say I talk so fast that I end up dropping the D in Harley Davidson's instead of, I end up saying Harley Davidson. It's a Missouri thing from living in Missouri. We kind of get sloppy in the way we talk. So sorry for anybody that misunderstanding saying Harley Davidson, because it does have a day. It's Davidson. So there you go. Sorry that I do it, but I'm talking too fast. So with that, we're going to leave you right here. And Leesburg's coming up here in about a week and a half. Okay. So we'll be going on there. We're also going to be announcing soon our winner for the Spring Fling. That'll be coming out here real soon. We've picked the winner. We've contacted them, and they're ready to go. So we'll announce that real soon, and we'll tell you about all the other people that we're going to go. We might have something coming up for you, too.
There you go. So we hope you enjoyed the video. Put us your comments down here, what you think's going on with Harley Davidson and what you think the outcome might be later on down the road. Hopefully they'll turn it around and do better and not go the other way. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Tell them Bob and Tam sent you. If you go visit any of our sponsors, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Share us with your family and friends. Give us a big thumbs up. Ring that bell for notifications, and we'll see you on the next video.
There you go. Let's hope the best for Harley Davidson.